on S-Ence Radio. This is Igan Alexander. That's all.
Hi, good evening, and welcome to the Innervibe show on S-Ence Radio on Sunday, the 27th of January, 2013.
Greetings. How are you, brother Haroon?
I'm fine, Muslim Blue. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Did you see the full moon today?
Yeah, it was nice.
Nice and beautiful.
Really nice.
Do you think that's a super moon then?
They call this one at this particular time wolf moon.
Why? Because like there's wolves and stuff.
Did you see any wolves?
No, I mean like back, you know, the legends or something. I was like,
okay. I have no idea, to be honest.
I know what I mean in my head.
Okay. I don't know why, but okay. Yeah, they call it a wolf moon. I don't
It's
think it was a
winter.
super moon. It was big and
Yeah.
quite close to the Earth, but it wasn't as big as
A super moon.
a super moons are usually. Yeah.
I've seen one before and it was like yellow and it was huge.
Mm.
It looked like you could just walk onto it.
Mm.
Do you think it's called a wolf moon because it's winter?
I'm not sure. I really don't know. I mean, did they call the one in December wolf moon? That's winter.
What's it in January time? It's called a wolf moon.
I don't know, to be honest.
Alright, I'll Google
This
it.
particular one is called the wolf moon.
But why?
I don't know. I'm not a specialist on this subject.
But how do you know it's called a wolf moon then?
Let's see. Anyway, on tonight's show we have Max Egan. Yeah.
Yes. From Australia.
Calling from Australia. We've got him up bright and early this morning, so please bear with us. And big respect to Max for getting up so early and doing the show with us also.
Yeah.
And Max is a researcher, truth seeker, radio show host, is also a filmmaker and one of the leaders of Global Awakening Movement.
Okay.
He's made a few documentaries, one being The Awakening back in 2008, The Calling in 2009, and Transformation last year. He's also written a book called Earth Forbidden Secrets, Searching for the Past. You can get that as a PDF download, I think, but Max can explain more about that when he comes on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, so we've got Max in the house this evening. They're having a few extreme
Weather issues there.
Yeah,
My cousin's
yeah.
out there. She actually posted a picture of like a big storm, and like the beach was like all. Oof. But yeah, he was saying that there's like mini cyclones and stuff. What else again?
Well, I'm sure Max will
Yeah,
explain
that's
when he comes on. So, what else is new today? Muslim Blue, what's been in the news?
All the snow's gone
Here in Leicester.
in Leicester.
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't really seen anything on the news. I haven't watched TV for like days.
Okay.
Well, for like months really. But I've been cut off like from the world for a bit.
I'm not talking about mainstream news.
Yeah, I know. But even then, I've been cut off from the world, like in general.
Okay. Anyway, I saw a clip on YouTube actually today about they were doing some tests or something in Miami.
Okay.
Helicopter gunships shooting at blanks at the machine guns
To who?
in a shop. Well, I mean above a shopping mall
Okay.
in Miami.
Why?
Very good question. You're asking me lots of whys this evening. You know, I don't know the answers to these questions. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I don't know the reasons why they're doing it, but you know, my guess is probably to prepare people.
Mhm.
You know, for
What, shooting blanks in the future with helicopter guns? They're probably practicing for something and seeing how it affects people. I don't know.
yeah, that's exactly what I was saying. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, they're getting people prepared for something. That's for sure.
In Miami though,
Whether it was Miami, New York,
it's interesting.
California.
It is interesting.
You know,
Because do you remember like a couple of years ago they were talking about was it Mississippi or Massachusetts or something beginning with M, and had like all these tanks, army tanks, just randomly come up on the street. Where was that again?
I can't remember what it was. And my bad.
But that was random. You know, you're the one who told me. What were they doing again?
I can't remember.
Okay.
Was it some sort of drill?
Yeah.
I think it was some sort of drill, wasn't it? Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. So very interesting stuff going on, and with all the extreme weather in Australia, which
Max will tell us about.
Yeah, tell us more about. Yeah. So what we're going to do now is take a short break and come back and talk to Max. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
La 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 la, baby.
Bring the bass.
Hey, yeah, yeah, yeah.
You're beautiful, the way you wear that shit that had many ladies, but nothing can compare to that. Let style, let drop, let wild, let bring it out. Big Daddy walk you down the aisle proper. You a showstopper, girl a jaw dropper. I can see me leaving soon as bring it home to mama. What you looking at is purebred stallion. I'm slaying it. You really care to know who's jaying it. How lucky are we? Catch you coming out the shower and I'm right there to wipe down your body. Spread that scented lotion all around your curves. Anything you want, all she deserves. Baby, calm your nerves. Make this work. The only thing you fear in life is being hurt. But I'm here to protect you. Thought otherwise, I'm here to correct you. You can trust me.
You and I both fight. Can't explain the way I feel inside. I got your back, you got mine. We in this life, yeah. You and I both fight. I'm down for life by your side. And anything for you is anything for me. It's a love thing, baby.
That's a hot couple. Put us both in the same club. Now you asking nothing but trouble. Watch you jumping out of red labels. Got my woman and the girlfriends dancing on the table. Shut down the joint. Me, I'm just laid back and all. Surrounded by the gangsters. Puffing on a cigar. Baddest chick in the world. Keep drinking. The hottest chick on the planet. Keep it rank up. The question is, can you top that, homie? You could probably pull something close to stop that, homie. Not even. Couldn't have that even if I stopped breathing. Don't hope for that. My ghost to be poking it still. Read my will. My boys get it all, no gimmicks. But I'm here to let you know my jump off is off limits. Life and love, you're made for a thug. Once I settle in, you made me a gentleman.
You and I both fight. Can't explain the way I feel inside. I got your back, you got mine. Feel so in this life, yeah. You and I both fight. I'm down for life by your side. And anything for you is anything for me. It's a love thing, baby.
It's crazy, diamonds on stilettos. Travel through these ghettos, drop the top. Let them see what I'm working with. Came to win. Got a dawn, keeps the fawn, blowing the wind. All war is magnetic. That attracts loot. She look Wall Street, briefcase, pinstripe suit. Your hair up in a bun, spectacles on her nose. Any deal she makes, my business grows. They say a woman's never satisfied till she has me to fill it to her heart's content. It's my blessing. God gave you to me. And words can't describe what you do for me. Your CL is love me or love me not. When no one can match this chemistry we got. Why they all call it CL's right? Cause all we got is each other.
Born for life, yeah. You and I born to fight. Explain the way I feel inside. I got your back, you got mine. We in this life, yeah. You and I born to fight. Down for life by your side. And anything for you is anything for me. It's a love thing, baby. It's a love thing, baby. Yeah. Cause I got you, babe. I love you, babe. Say that it's a love thing, yeah. It's a love thing, yeah. It's a love thing, baby. You and I is born to fight. Explain the way I feel inside. I got your back, you got mine. We in this life, yeah. You and I is born to fight. Down the line by your side. And anything for you is anything for me. It's a love.
this radio. This is Yaz Alexander. That's all.
So that was Pete Rock, It's a Love Thing.
Mm-hmm.
I love that song.
It's a nice song, isn't it?
It's beautiful.
Real hip hop.
Real hip hop.
Yeah, none of this rap crap which is the mainstream is dishing out.
It's everywhere. It's just annoying me.
Yeah, it's everywhere. And
It's annoying.
It's like a plague.
It's like they've taken it and they've just, like we've talked about this before, but hypersexualized it.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that on another show. Let's
Well, hip hop's gone from tap dance to lap dance.
Yeah. And you get stars. Now you're getting stars such as Iggy Azalea, who's actually from Australia.
Is she? Okay,
yeah,
okay.
She's terrible.
Maybe Max knows about Iggy.
Maybe he does. She is just terrible. She thinks she's from.
I doubt it now, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I don't think he. I'd be quite concerned if he did.
Well, we know about her.
But that's our thing, though,
Okay,
isn't it?
of course,
Because we're doing the SCEM campaign.
Okay.
So.
And music is our thing anyway,
Yeah.
so we have to know what's going on in it. So.
Whether it's hip hop or rap crap.
Yeah.
So let's go.
And we're here to bring the real hip hop back.
Yes, and also bring edutainment to the masses.
Yeah, that's right.
Or
that's
to
right.
the listeners of Innervibe Show.
Okay, no doubt.
Yeah.
Okay, let's call Maxine. Greetings, Max.
Hey, how are you? Nice to be on.
Yes, good morning.
Yeah.
Australia time.
Yeah, good morning Australia time, because it's night time here.
Yeah, it's definitely morning. 7:20 here in the morning. Very early one for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is Rosalind Blue, my co-host, and
Hi, Max.
yes, I am Brother
Nice to meet you,
Haru.
Rosalind.
Hi. Yeah, so how's the weather over there then?
Shocking.
Okay.
Absolutely shocking. We went from fires to cyclones.
Wow.
And we've got trees down, the wind is blowing a gale, there's rain lashing around everywhere, lots of people flooded in, power lines down around the place. Yeah, lovely weather.
Okay. It's it's good that you can connect to us, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'm pretty lucky where I am. I'm sort of in a bit of a sheltered area.
Okay.
But yeah, it's been pretty drastic all around. It's been raining here steadily for the last 5 days. It hasn't stopped for 5 minutes in 5 days.
Wow.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, so Max, do you want to tell us we did a little introduction on you, but do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I just got a website called thecrowhouse.com. I make films, I do documentaries, I do radio shows. I try to get a message out to empower the people. That's basically what I've been doing for the last 5 years.
Okay.
I think it's important that people pay attention to what's going on around them. Mm-hmm. And so I've been trying to do my little bit to make sure that happens. I've been very busy the last year. I've been travelling around a lot. And I intend to be again this year. I've actually got to move out of where I'm living soon. So I'm going to take that opportunity to just sell off my clutter, put what I want to keep in storage and just sort of take off for a while and see where I end up.
Okay.
I can't see the point in getting a new place to live if I'm going to be travelling, so maybe I'll just travel for a while and see what happens from there. So it should be an interesting year. I've got a big project on this year as well, called the Full Circle Project, that I'm trying to put together now. I've got meetings over the next few days right up until early March, where I'm hoping to launch it maybe mid-March. So that's something to look forward to as well.
Okay, what's that about?
Well, I want to. It was going to be a series of workshops. I wanted to go to different communities and attempt to highlight shamanistic tradition in different communities. What's happened due to the loss of this shamanistic tradition.
Okay.
But it's kind of turned into what may well be classed as a festival, which will be maybe a 2 or 3 day thing, where we can go to a community. And we can do workshops punctuated by art and culture from the local area. We want to feature local musicians, local artists, local culture everywhere we go, and highlight the culture of the community that we're going to. Their art and their life and their world. Highlight that through this festival, but also give workshops where we're talking, whether it be people like myself and perhaps Ken O'Keefe and Ben Stewart can come on board, and there's a few people that want to be involved.
Okay.
So we can get these workshops happening. There'll be different people coming in and out of the workshops, the speakers, but we highlight the art and the culture of each area we go. And we finish the festival with a day or possibly 2 days of tree planting. So we reforest the areas that we're in as well. So we get money from the festival, purchase shrubs and trees from the local area, the local nurseries, put something back into their economy and reforest the place, you know.
Yeah.
And because we're reforesting, this will hopefully open up dialogue between local politicians, because if we're planting trees, they'll have to be in designated areas, and the local mayors and all these people are going to want to get on board and big note themselves to the community, say, look what I've organised, I'm planting trees, you know, the way these people are. So that gives us an opportunity to get them on stage with someone like perhaps myself and Ken O'Keefe for a bit of a round table discussion about trust and planting these seeds of what people's relationship with government actually is back into the minds of the people, doing it with the politicians on stage. A little bit of a trap for them in a way. We'll be nice, but we can create this dialogue. And what I hope to do is go to communities and leave a footprint there that they remember we were there, and it empowers their community by being there. And we leave them a template by which they can continue this process in their community. And that's what it's all about. And the Full Circle name, Full Circle project, is basically going to encompass anything we can bring into it to link everybody up, and anything that can empower humanity will come under this banner, and that's what I want to try to create this year.
Okay, that sounds interesting.
Yeah, big job.
Yeah,
but someone's got to do it. So
I think
And
it could be interesting, you know.
And it's something definitely worth doing as well. So.
Well, we've got to find a way of empowering local community. I mean, I get so many messages from people that want to help, and they say, Max, how can I help? What can I do? I want to do something. What can I do?
Yeah. And
we want to try to go to these communities and provide a template for them, and education for them, and offer suggestions on how they can deal with their local political institutions and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
We've got to get on the ground there and do it. We figure that any community that wants us there, if you can provide the venue for us and help us get there, we'll come and we'll do a workshop there, you know. So we want to do it as many places as possible, try to link up everybody, and try to link up all the shamanistic cultures and reintroduce this way of thinking into communities, you know. We've got to get this back, this connection to the earth.
That's
you know?
right.
Shamanism, it may just seem strange to some people, but it's a really important factor, because that's why the Crown Corporation went to so much trouble to wipe all this out, you see, to wipe out all the paganism and all the knowledge of the plants and all this stuff, because it's the biggest threat they face.
Yeah.
You know, so that's why it's important for people to at least look at it, you know, and see the value that it holds.
Definitely. And talking about the plants and such, the elite, the so-called elite, the parasites, which I prefer to call them, they have they've got a large group of seeds, I hear, hidden up in Norway.
Okay.
In a vault.
Yeah, they've got seed vaults around the place that they're protecting all the natural seeds and all the organic seeds, because they're destroying the ones on the planet. They're destroying the ones on the surface. See, they can introduce all this GM stuff and just let it go rampant. And once they've basically destroyed all the life we've got here and turned it into whatever, you know, if they ever want to go back, well, they can just let it die and replant. Yeah. You know? So they've got all the seeds of all the crops and all the trees and everything. They've got a massive, massive seed vault. And it's hidden in the ice. They've said, we put it here because this is supposed to be the safest place on Earth in case there's a cataclysm. No, they've got it where it is because it's a really, really inhospitable, hard to access place. Yeah. So nobody can get to it except them. Yeah. That's why they've got it there. Yeah. And so they're preparing for all of this. And what we're seeing in America now as well with this attack on the Second Amendment, they've been doing drills now. There's been Black Hawk helicopters over Florida shooting blanks. That's right. They're preparing for home invasions, and they're preparing for an assault on the people. It's pretty obvious. Yeah. Okay.
Which they're going to be doing themselves, of course, you know.
Well, Homeland Security will. I mean, the military, I don't think would. I don't think too many American troops would fire on American people. That's all. Homeland Security, I mean, these are a special brand of thugs, these guys. I mean, these guys all come from broken homes and disjointed families, and they profile these people so that they're all sociopaths. They have no empathy. and they'll do whatever they want. They're just part of the big boys club, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's the mentality. I mean, they changed the profiling on police officers a long time ago, and they started employing people that didn't have other people's best interests at heart.
Okay.
If you can't function in a crime gang, or you've got a chip on your shoulder, well, join the police force.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
So that's the kind of profiling we have now. So unfortunately, that's the type of people that will go out and hurt the American people because they want to. They like hurting people.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but I think if it really does erupt to that, I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of Americans just desert their overseas posts, jump on planes. I mean, be going, I'm a pilot, I can fly a plane. Let's go back to the States. Who's coming with me? You know, and just do it. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of soldiers just down tools in places like Iraq and Afghanistan, just head home any way they can to protect the country. And I'm really hoping people are drawing up articles of impeachment at the moment for Obama because there's still a way out peacefully.
Yeah, definitely. But are people willing to take that responsibility? Because that's one of the questions I was going to ask you at the top of the show was, do you think people really have the courage to wake up? Because by waking up, they would have to have that courage to do something about this mess.
Well, yeah, I'm hoping so. That's what I've been attempting to do with the shows, is to help people understand their divine nature. And once they understand that, there's nothing to fear. They realise that.
That's right.
When I speak out the way I do, and I'm quite happy to face these people head on any occasion, and I do so. But I'm always polite.
Yeah.
But I just ask the right questions, and I know that the person I'm talking to, the man I'm talking to, is just a man, just like me. It doesn't matter what his uniform is.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter what he's wearing. It doesn't matter about the paper that he's holding. It's just another man. You know, God created man. Everything below that is fiction.
Yeah.
And if you talk to these people in the right way, I think we can achieve something. But yeah, I mean, there is a bit of fear. But as far as impeaching the president, I mean, it's not fear; it's duty. Any person in political office in the United States should clearly be able to see what's going on here, and they should be drawing up articles of impeachment already. I mean, the things this man has done, it's absolutely shocking. Whether there was a Sandy Hook shooting, whether it was a hoax or whether it wasn't or whatever, it's irrelevant. What's relevant is what this man is doing to the country.
Yeah.
You know, and this is treason. Yeah. And he swore not to do that when he swore his oath of office. So this is treason, this is sedition, and he needs to be impeached. I mean, they impeached Clinton for having a blowjob.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And Obama's like getting a blowjob from the whole country, and they're not impeaching him.
Indeed.
Real talk, man.
I mean, really, seriously, if you really want to look at it, they spend millions on investigating Clinton. They spent more on investigating Clinton than what they did investigating 9/11.
Yeah.
You know? And here we have Obama getting away with absolute blatant treason.
Yeah.
And they're just letting him go. So what's going on here?
Wow. So what's it going to take for people to take that step to actually impeach him?
Well, I don't know. I mean, it's just someone to get up and do it. I've been suggesting that the people of the country, anybody who listens to my show, I've been saying, right to your local member, go and see them and ask them if they're drawing up articles of impeachment that you, as a citizen, would like to see this president impeached. Go and put pressure on them. If they're not doing it, then you go and put pressure on them. People have to get involved. You know, the shift can happen, but people have to get involved.
Yeah.
You know, we have an opportunity here because the system is being laid so bare. And you can see what they're doing. It's right in front of your faces, but it's not in place yet.
Yeah.
You can see it all happening. And everyone goes, oh my God, it's happening. But they're not doing anything about it. They're running and hiding.
Yeah.
Or running and buying guns and hiding in the corner and waiting for someone to kick the door in so they can have a shootout with them.
Yeah.
I mean, it's ridiculous. What you should be doing is facing the problem head on, because we still have a chance to fix it by peaceful means if we all realise who we are and realise that government only exists on paper. It's just an idea, it's just a meme, it's just a concept. It's just men in suits that follow these rules written down in books. But we made the whole thing up. And we can still fix the problem. And even with the gun debate, I mean, I don't particularly like guns. I've never owned a gun. But if I was in a culture like America and I owned a gun, and then you came up to me and you told me that you wanted to take my gun away from me for my safekeeping, but you wanted to keep yours, you know, I'd have a problem with that. You know, it isn't that I want my gun. I just have a problem with you wanting me not to have one. You know, while you want to keep yours, I don't think you're up to the best, thing. I don't think you have my best interest at heart. That's why people need to think about it. You know, I mean, in a perfect world, we wouldn't have guns. But if the government has guns that they can use against the people, then the people need to manage to defend themselves against that government.
That's right.
Because ultimately, these government are just people.
Yeah.
And if you look at their actions, they don't seem like they're people that have any empathy, and they don't seem like people that have anybody's best interests at heart. So, you just got to pay attention to what's going on.
That's right. That's right. So the gun law, because have they passed it in a couple of states already, or?
Oh, look, I don't think so. I think they're trying to, but
Right.
people are rejecting it. You've got things like people like Senator Feinstein really pushing for a total gun ban and all this sort of stuff. You've got all sorts of stuff going on, but I don't think that they'll get it through.
Okay.
I mean, even I don't even think it'll get through to the Congress. And if Obama writes an executive order just overriding everything, then that's dictatorship.
Yeah.
And with such an important issue, I think such a thing would be a little more than a provocation for conflict. I think that's what they're pushing for anyway. I think that's what this whole Sandy Hook debacle and Second Amendment challenge and all this stuff is about. I think they want the conflict. That's the best option for them. It's going to be very, very hard to disarm the people peacefully. They'll just refuse.
Yeah.
But if they can create conflict, then they can disarm the people through civil war.
Yeah.
And through martial law anyway. And they can also disarm the people by merging with Obamacare, the way they're merging the medical system with Homeland Security.
That's right.
See, in America, any emotional complaint that you get, I mean, your mother's died, you go to the doctor that next week and you tell the doctor, oh, you've been feeling a bit sad, my mother died, they'll prescribe something for you, get you drugged, Any problem you got, we've got a drug for that. Yeah. And so you've got people like these crazed shooters going out, you find out that they're on all these psychotropic drugs that have been prescribed for them. So now you've got to register all the people that you prescribe these drugs to. And now, look, we're seeing that they're going out shooting people. So, of course, Homeland Security needs that list, and anybody on that list who's being prescribed any of these medications, which is virtually the whole British population, and then these people are at risk and we'll have to take their guns from them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it works that way as well. They've got many avenues that they're putting in place to do this. That's why they prescribe drugs to everybody.
Yeah.
And they're worried, 80,000 people killed with guns last year. Well, 260,000 people killed by FDA-approved drugs.
Wow.
So why are they banning the FDA? And in fact, it's the FDA-approved drugs that created the crazy people that went out and shot 80,000 other people.
That's right.
So,
Yeah.
that's
right,
where
yeah.
the actual problem comes
It's
from.
Exactly.
It's all in their plans,
idea,
though. It's like all in their plans for money and greed, really.
Well, it's control. It's
Yeah,
a system that's very cleverly designed to create exactly the situation that we're seeing. They just put it all out there. They put in the ingredients and they watch the thing boil. They just watch it cook up into what they want. So then they can just do what they want with it. I mean, it's all very, very well played. I think Sandy Hook's been very well played.
Yeah.
I think the whole prescription drug thing, the whole big pharma, the merging, Obamacare, it's all been very, very well played. They know exactly what they're doing. Yeah. And they think about things really, really years and years in advance. Like they plan for decades in advance. Yeah. They know exactly what they're doing.
So they want this order out of chaos, don't they? And as we know on the dollar bill, it states that in Latin, is it?
Yeah, Auto Ab Chaos. Well, it's above all the Freemason logos. It's on the Freemason doors and stuff as well. Right. Auto Ab Chaos, order out of chaos. Yeah, that's how it's always done.
Yeah, one of the biggest wings of the Masons are the Malta Knights? Is it?
Knights of Malta.
The Knights of Malta. That's the one. Do you know much about them?
Look, not a great deal. I mean, it's another rabbit hole. I mean, you see all of these different secret societies all off the side. I mean, ultimately they all combine. They all combine into 6 major societies at the top, Knights of Malta being one of them. And really, I mean, it all goes back to these 13 families, these banking cartels. You've got to wonder whether it's even a human element at the top. I mean, it's such a convoluted and well thought out system. Yeah. But it's all ultimately controlled via the money system and the banking cartels, and so that's where the solution is. Yeah. Free yourself from this system of fear-based mind control that's put in place mainly by debt slavery.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
everybody's kept in a state of scarcity, so they're kept in a state of competition. They're all given these yardsticks, which are usually unobtainable, that they have to measure themselves up by. So they all feel bad about themselves. You know, it's a very, very divided society. All these religious divisions and class divisions and race divisions and everything they've created. You know, you're different. Every way you're different to everybody else. Well, I don't think you're different. I think you're unique in your perspective, but ultimately you're the same as everybody else. Yeah. Everybody's the same. Everybody is equal. Everyone has the same wants and needs and desires. Everyone has the same need to be loved. Everyone has the same biological needs. We need food. We need air. We've got, you know, we're all basically the same, regardless of colour, regardless of creed, regardless of anything. But so we're all really one, but we still have a completely unique perspective of reality that is all our own, and that's who you are. Who you are is the spark, the essence of creation, the frequency of consciousness, and the perspective that is you. That's who you are. The rest of it is irrelevant. It's just a vehicle that you use to experience reality from that perspective.
That's right.
You know, and that's the way I look at it. So we can all be completely unique, and we can all be completely the same at the same time, because we are really, logically, if you look at it. You know, from a biological perspective and from a spiritual perspective, you can see how this works. And once we realise that and we see each other as valid and we stand in that and simply realise that all the people we're dealing with are just people and all the system that we're dealing with is simply fiction that we all made up, then, you know, we could change the world in 3 seconds. We really could.
We could. Just about transforming our mindset, isn't it, really? And this is the challenge, I guess, in society, for us to really get back to nature, get back to the organic self, and work from that perspective.
Well, a lot of it is that we're missing out on our own perfection. We don't understand that, and so we find it hard to see perfection in anything else because we haven't found ourselves. We see a lot of stuff as a threat to ourselves. We compete with each other. We just always seem to do this. You know, we judge each other, we compete with each other, we have stuff with each other. I don't like him, don't like her, don't like what she's wearing, don't like the way he dresses, don't like his tattoos, don't like this, don't like that, you know. But it's all just mirrors of ourselves. Why would we judge anybody in what their expression is, you know? Unless they're hurting people. And if they're hurting people, it's because they're disconnected. They need healing more than they need hurting. So, you know, it's all about your perspective. But once you find that perfection in yourself and you realise that no one can be you any better than you can, that frequency of consciousness that is you is unique to you, and no one can do that any better than you. That's why you're here, is to be that frequency of consciousness. So you're perfect. Why would you consider yourself to be anything but perfect? Because no one else can experience reality from your perspective. That's unique to you. And that's what you're here to do, to experience that.
That's right.
And so the real question is, what do you do with that time? And what do you do with the time that's given to you? How do you experience yourself in the way that is best for all and best for you? You know, that's what it's really about. And then you begin to discover this about yourself, and you see that in others. And usually when we have judgment and stuff with other people, it's because we don't respect ourselves. If we don't respect others, we don't. It's because we don't respect ourselves, because we can't respect others until we know how to respect ourselves, and we don't truly respect ourselves until we can find that inner beauty, that inner perfection that is there. It's there in everybody. Once you really start to understand what you are, you know. And that's the way I look at it, and that's how I'm able to do the things that I do. I can't remember the last time I had a bad day or got in a bad mood. I honestly can't. It's been years and years. No matter what situation I'm in, it's very difficult for me to crack a frown or anything. Even if I'm having some debate with somebody over some issue, it's very, very difficult for me to get upset. Because I just have this view of the world that it all just works. I don't plan anything in my life. I just follow synchronicity, and everything just works, you know?
That's a nice way. I think that's really nice that you can't really remember the last time you've been in a bad mood.
I can't. I honestly can't. In everything that I've done, even when I was travelling around the world last year, there was one stage I was with an incredibly stressed out travel companion. And I was fascinated at how stressed she would get. It was amazing. I just couldn't believe why someone would put themselves through all of this.
Yeah.
Even when I see a couple fighting, I find it fascinating that they could actually find something to fight about. But they must be disconnected from themselves. They're just disconnected at that moment. They're disconnected from the energy source, and so they've got to harvest energy off that which is closest to them, which is what we tend to do when we get disconnected from source. We lose sight of our own perfection. We get disconnected from the divine. And so we harvest energy from people around us.
Yeah.
People who are grumpy and bitchy, you know, they get up in the morning and they don't feel good until they've belittled somebody else.
Yeah.
And then they get their energy and they're all calm for the rest of the day because they've stolen that energy from somebody else.
Yeah.
And the person they belittle goes off and has a terrible day because their energy's been stolen. And this is what a lot of people do. We're trained to do this. We harvest energy off each other, from each other, little energy vampires running around because we're all disconnected from our own divine perfection. Yeah. When you're connected to that and you're connected to source, you go and you give energy to everybody that you come across. And the more energy you give to other people, the more you channel in from source.
Yeah.
So it works a lot better that way.
Yeah.
But people just kind of forget that because they don't know how to find their own perfection. They don't know how to find that spark, and they don't know how to find that connection, often because they don't realise it's there because they're trained to think in a left brain way all the time, you know. So they're kind of disconnected anyway by design.
Yeah, yeah. The vampires of consciousness. Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you for that, Max.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, society's full of them, you know. But you can do it. You can connect to the divine.
Yeah.
You know, the more you give of your heart to people unconditionally, without any judgment or any need for anything in return.
Yeah.
You know, every person that you see, if you treat in Lakesh as yourself and give them of your heart, you'll find that you can really improve people's day. You can improve their whole energy field, and the more you give to them, the more you channel in from source. So, you know, we can change the field ourselves, and we can change reality ourselves by being in that energetic state with all the people that we deal with. It really does make a difference.
Yeah.
You know, to not have that judgment and not be taking energy from people, but to be giving it to them. You know, you don't need to take it from them. You're divine. No one can be you better than you. Your perfection is completely whole. You know, it can't be taken from you. It can't be changed. Nobody can do anything that can interfere with your divinely perfect nature.
Yeah.
You know, you may have flaws physically and stuff. That's just a vehicle. That's just what you're here to experience. But the essence of you is perfection. It's divine perfection. Of course it is. Otherwise you wouldn't be alive. You know, so when you see that, it really does change the way you interact with people. You know, it's all good. Everything's good. It's all fine. The way, you know, there's no problem. I don't have a problem with anybody. No one can be a threat to me.
Yeah.
I don't care about what they think about me.
Yeah.
Even if they look at me and think, oh, he's this or he's that, well, that's their issue.
Yeah.
It's not mine. You know. So if they want to think that way, that's a problem that they're having, and they'll have to deal with it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So you know, you've just got to change your perspective of how you think about yourself, and that changes the way you interact with others, and you find that this energy just starts flowing through you. And we can change the whole energy field of all our societies by being in that state when we interact with people. Because it rubs off, and people, they want to be like that. They want to be able to do that too, and it does. You charge these people up, and then they go off and they start doing it, and it creates these ripples. And eventually, reality will change if we can just do this, you know, with the people that we interact with.
That's right. That's right. And I guess that's the challenge that we face, isn't it?
Yeah, well, that's why they immerse us in fear-based mind control to keep us, you know, out of that energy, try to keep us all convoluted all the time.
The programming it's something else, isn't it? As you said, you have to give them that credit for their cleverness and their intricately woven, deceitful plans. Yeah.
Well, it's very clever. It's a very, very clever system, but you can see how simple it is as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
as well. Yeah.
Because
Just by
they
this
read off
creating
it.
this state of scarcity and this fear-based mind control, and creating this fictional system with these sociopathic rules, because it's a very sociopathic system whereby people are expendable in order to support an economic model. You impose this system over people, and you put people in a state of scarcity and competition, and this is what you get. The system just makes itself more efficient, and it becomes a life of its own, an intelligence, an organism of its own. And the system itself is the problem, and its food is our attention. and our willingness to participate in it. It gets its energy from us because we believe the system is real. It's just an idea. We just see it as necessary because we live in these paper-based realities where we're functioning in a state of manufactured scarcity. It's very clever, very simple, but you know, that's just the way it works. That's why it's very difficult to blame people within it, because once the system's going, it makes itself more efficient because of the way it trains people to think by keeping them in scarcity. So people work to make themselves more profitable and more efficient. They do that to expel everybody around them and raise the bottom line so they're getting more paper. But the only way you get this is by exploiting others. So it discards the people along the way, and the system itself becomes more and more efficient until there's just a few people running it and the rest of society has been discarded, you know.
That's why because we've got a campaign going at the moment called Sexual and Consumer Exploitation in Mainstream Music and Media, and we feel that it's because of these reasons why people are finding it difficult to wake up, because they're being lured into being consumers and sexual consumers at that. So we've we came up with a concept to called like the obstacles to truth, and show people why it is they're being taken away from their true selves because of money, really, and because the parasites are just sucking at people's souls.
Well, they are, and like money, that's what money does. Money creates competition, it creates scarcity, and yet the sexual perversion as well. I mean, this is rife throughout our community, and this is a real mind bend the way they do it as well, because they tell you not to think dirty thoughts, but we're going to put this stuff right in your face all the time. Don't look, you know. And sex is a really natural part of life. It's not something that you should be intimidated by or think is taboo. It's a natural part of who you are.
Exactly.
And yet we're taught that it isn't about procreation, it's about sex, you know. And it isn't about love, it's about lust. You know. And there's all of this stuff in your face, and we're going to make it as perverse and in your face and push the limits as far as we can. But don't look. If you look and you think dirty thoughts, there's something wrong with you. You know, so it's a complete mind bend. So you got all these people walking around with these coward existences, not daring to look at anybody else, you know, and not daring to think anything about anybody, while they've got all this stuff going on inside them, which is a perfectly natural way to think. I mean, you know, if you're in love with someone, procreation is just a natural thing. It's not a dirty, perverse act. But we've been trained to think this way, so it's been a complete mind bend. It's a beautiful way of controlling people. I mean, because it completely it creates a schism in their consciousness straight away, simply by having a society like that. You know.
That's right.
All done very, very, you know, purposely. You know, all very purposely. I mean, you undermine people's confidence in themselves by doing all this sort of stuff, and that's another very important part. And you also keep them preoccupied because you've taken away from them something that is so natural, so it makes them want to hide in a dark room and watch porn or something.
That's right. Yeah,
you create this. I mean, they create this mindset in people by removing people's knowledge of themselves. Ultimately, that's what it all comes down to. It's because people don't understand themselves, and they won't face the shadows in themselves. They won't face the darker side. And they don't really want to face themselves. They don't want anybody else to know who they really are.
That's true.
They'll put on an outfit, they'll put on a leather jacket and a headband and these chains and these boots, and they'll look in this way, like they'll create this image of themselves that they present to people, but they'll never present their real self to anybody, you know, because they're too scared to. You know?
And they're too scared.
So humanity's been brutalised. We really have, you know, consciously brutalised.
I think one of the ways that humanity can start to repair the damage or to deprogram is by asking questions. Asking questions to themselves, to ourselves. And I do
for sure. You've got to look at yourself, absolutely. I mean, you should always be asking questions about yourself. Any thought that you have, you should question the thoughts. Even before you speak to people, you should question why you're choosing to say what you're about to say. And is what you're saying true? Is it kind? Is it necessary? Or are you just harvesting energy? You know, what is your purpose for saying what you're about to say? You know? Are you treating a person in Lakesh as you would be treated? Now, a question I think people should always ask themselves is, are you the type of friend that you would want to have as a friend?
Yeah. That's a good question.
Yeah, I always suggest people ask that one, and I always suggest that I also ask them, how old would you be if you didn't know how old you were?
Yeah.
Okay. That's a good one, actually. I think I'd be like 4.
Yeah. Well, those two questions are very liberating questions.
Yeah.
They really are, and they're kind of mind bends, but they also can deprogram people a little bit, you know. Talking about time and this, I'm getting old, and you say, really, how old would you be if you didn't know how old you were?
That's a good one, that is.
You don't have birthdays. We're taught to think in this linear way. You know? What is possible? Anything's possible. The only thing that isn't possible is that which you think is impossible.
Yeah.
So it's only that you've been trained to think that time moves in this linear way, and so you get old because that's what you believe happens.
Yeah.
But if you weren't trained to think in a linear way, why would you age if anything's possible? Look at the measurement problem. Look at the way atoms work. We create matter by observing it. Matter's 99.99999% empty space.
Yeah.
So there's nothing really here. It's all just consciousness. And what's happening is what we perceive to be happening based on what we believe is possible. So why do we need to age unless we believe we age? You know what I'm saying? That's the way it really works.
Yeah.
Anything's possible. Reality could be anything we want it to be if we knew who we were to begin with. That's the trick. So you've got to look within to find this in yourself, because once you find that, you go, aha. But then you realise it's a collective consciousness.
Yeah.
Oh, God, look what we've done. Look what we've done to the place. I mean, I think we could have gone a different way, you know. But it's all been based on what we perceive to be possible, based on this left brain reality, because absolutely anything's possible, and this can be proven through standard physics. You know, even Newtonian physics, as flawed as it is, can prove this to you. So, you know, we create reality by believing that this is what reality is, and that's a bit of a mind bend in itself. But once we can free ourselves, and this is where it comes back to the plants, because the plants and the whole shamanistic tradition, this is what can get us out of this left brain reality. We can start thinking about things a little clearer again with both sides of our brain, and we might actually discover that reality is not the way we perceive it to be at all. And you know, I know that whole thing sounds very, very esoteric and a bit of a mind bend for people, but that's truly what we need to do, is to get back to our whole brain. So you've got to think, okay, well, here we are. We're so disconnected from that now. What's the process? Where do we start to get that back to that? Okay, well, what is the fuel of this system apart from our energy? What's the glue that holds it together? Okay, it's the money system. So that's where we start. We expose the money system for what it is. We get people out of this state of scarcity, which breaks down the fear-based mind control. And then we can start to help people reconnect to nature by first, once we've reined this system in, we've got rid of this fear-based mind control and this corrupt monetary system, we implement certain changes, like we remove all the toxins from the food, all the toxins from the water, all this sort of stuff. Get rid of all this electromagnetic radiation that we're swimming in. All these phones and things could be on frequencies that weren't anywhere near as damaging as they are. If we're going to have that technology, we could put it in a manner that was okay for us to be around, frequencies that are okay for life. But these frequencies, these like thousands of gigabytes and stuff, these are ridiculously high frequencies, and they're very, very damaging to life. So change all of this sort of stuff, and over a period of a couple of generations, we'll find people are starting to be born connected again, so with the pineal open and their DNA more active, and we will eventually find that we don't even need government. You know, we don't even need civilization in its current form. It would morph into something else, but we have to find the steps back to that from where we are. So it's got to start with the money system. It's got to start with that, and then the toxins and removing this fear-based mind control in this polluted environment, and then we've got to get back to our connection with the earth, with what we should have, and it's a huge path backwards. It's a long way to go.
It is. I was going to ask, because Well, when you look out there, I mean, it's...
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's one thing to talk about pulling down this system, but what are you going to do? Pull it down, put up new parents? This is going to do the same thing. You've got to see what the steps are, how disconnected we are. Well, this whole system was created by the Crown Corporation. The biggest thing, the highest thing on the agenda of the Crown Corporation is to wipe out shamanism.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Because that's the way back.
That's right.
And how do you get back there from here? I mean, that's just
no.
huge.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
phenomenal task. The only way you're going to get it back there from here is through those steps that I outlined. It's going to have to be a gradual process over a period of at least 100 years, I'd say, at the very, very least, to get back to that state where we will find that we don't need government. But you're going to need some very wise people sort of running things or advising on things while we do that.
Yeah.
You know, or someone will just take it back to where it was because it's just what psychopaths do, you know, they like to control.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a big job, but I think we can do it.
Yeah. Max, I want to ask a question, right? Could you, like, give us an introduction into, like, shamanism? Because, like,
Well,
I'd like to know a little bit more about it.
Well, shamanism is really the knowledge of the plants and the connection to the earth. I mean, what I experienced when I was in the Amazon in Peru was I basically had the Amazon tell me its emotional journey. And the connection that I felt to the earth was absolutely profound. And what I find with civilization, all these square walls and flat surfaces, these are not natural to humankind. Civilization in its form doesn't seem like something we would naturally come up with because it doesn't benefit us. Okay. It just doesn't. I mean, we pave everything, we make everything square and everything, you know, flat and smooth. And when we're in nature, it's rough and it spirals and it's curves and it's all, you know, it's a whole different energy. And this energy's locked us into our left brain. But what I experienced when I was in Peru was a very, very right brain connection to the earth. And I felt how I could interact with the earth if I was open to all of my higher faculties and my higher senses. When you think of animals and tribal cultures, you will see that an animal will leave an area 2 or 3 days before there's a disaster, like an earthquake or a tsunami or there's a tornado coming. All the animals will leave before that happens. But we don't. We don't know it's coming. And they'll say, oh, that's the instinct. That's animal instinct. Okay, well, what is instinct? Instinct is higher senses. Instinct is interacting with the energy field around you, the matter that all is created, the plants, the language of the plants. The plants can talk to you. They can communicate to you energetically. It's a language that is a higher sense language. It's not spoken. It's like a telepathic language. And we have an interface in our body called DMT. We're supposed to have more DMT active in our body than we've got. And when this DMT is active in your body, there's an antenna in all the plants. There's an antenna in everything called tryptophan. And DMT can be made from tryptophan. You can harvest tryptophan from plants and you can do a slight chemical adjustment and you can turn it into DMT. The DMT is produced in your body and it's classed as a drug, but it's not. It's actually a gateway to higher senses, and DMT is the interface that allows you to communicate with the antenna that exists in all of nature. And this is instinct. This is how you can tell what's going on, because all of nature communicates with itself on higher levels, on higher energetic levels. This is why tribal cultures will leave an area before there's a tsunami. All the animals will leave an area before there's a tsunami, but all the westernized people don't, because all the westernized people don't know that this language exists. They don't know the language of intuition. They don't know the language of the heart. They don't know the language of instinct. But all of these other creatures do. So if we got all these toxins out of our environment, we've got all these flashing lights and synthetic lights out of our lives, because the lights all flicker and they shut down your corpus callosum. They stop your left and right brain talking to one another. So, and shamanism is a way back to this. Shamanism is like, in an ancient culture, if you had a problem, you would go to the shaman would take the medicine and he'd talk to the plants, and the plants would tell him what your problem was, and one of the plants would volunteer to be medicine for you. And they'd mix it up in a certain way and they'd give you a medicine. Now that's might sound like hocus pocus or voodoo, but these people still do this and it appears to work.
Yeah.
So whether it's a placebo or whatever, I don't know. It sounds a lot better than taking FDA approved drugs.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely.
Well, yeah, I mean, if it works, it works.
Yeah.
It's all about what you believe as well, isn't it?
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
And so this is, I mean, shamanism is this connection back to the spirit world and back to the plant world, back to your ancestors.
Yeah.
Then something else that I experienced during ceremony in Peru was a connection to the ancestors of the area. There were so many spirits that came to see me, spirits of jaguars, spirits of shamans, spirits of all the jungle. Like, so much stuff came to see me during ceremony, and it wasn't hallucinations. It wasn't like anything I've ever experienced. It wasn't just mind imagination. There were literally characters standing in the room with me that were so real that I felt like I could reach out and touch them.
That's so cool.
And they were communicating to me telepathically, and I got this connection, and they told me such an incredible story, but the story they told me wasn't language, so it's very hard for me to convey to anybody what it was. I know the feeling and I know the energy that I should be in, but I can't convey it in words, you know. And that connection that I had was like my higher senses and my instincts came online, and I felt how I could live in perfect harmony with this earth. And that's how we should all be living. That's where we should be living. But something's happened to create this schism in our consciousness and move us away from that, lock us into this left brain reality where we've created this civilization and this economic model, which is basically stripping the resources of this planet and destroying human consciousness at the same time. And, you know, we've got to find a way back. And it's so deep and so profound what's been done to us. It's very difficult to try to explain to people how far back we have to go. So that's what I said, you've got to do it in steps.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of people will never understand this, but if you can first get them out of fear-based mind control by cancelling debt, get rid of this money system, this economic system, and get all the toxins out of our environment that are keeping people locked into this state, that's a hell of a good step.
Yeah.
So that's where we have to start, I think.
Wow. So
But it's because, like, whenever people nowadays, if you say shamanism, people automatically think witchcraft, voodoo,
witchcraft, yeah.
and they there's like a negative sort of like a negative
vibe to it,
like as if it's negative and stuff. But that's what they want. They want people to think that's negative because they want to put fear into people. But shamanism is literally what we should be doing, connecting back to nature.
Well, shaman used to always exist in our society. Shaman would just keep an eye on things. You know, if you had a problem, you'd go to the shaman. The shaman would take the medicine and he'd help you fix the problem.
Yeah.
They'd also keep an eye on society. Like the society would run itself. There'd be hierarchy. There'd be leaders in the village, leaders in the town or whatever. But they'd be good people and things would run smoothly. And you'll find that 1 to 3% of people are born with psychopathic tendencies.
Yeah.
This is it's almost like a defect in humankind. But 1 to 3% of people are born psychopaths. Wow. And the shaman would watch the children and they'd see and they'd notice which ones were psychopaths. They could read them. You could look in the eyes of a child and look at him and go, yep, you're a psychopath. Because psychopaths have two-dimensional eyes. They have very, very different eyes. And psychopaths always recognise other psychopaths in a crowd. You know, you'll find if you're a psychopath, you will manoeuvre yourselves into a position of power. They always do this. If a psychopath is left in a group of people, he will always, or she will always manoeuvre themselves into a position where they're in control of the other people. They're very charismatic, so people flock to them. And then they manipulate people. And they enjoy watching people fight and argue, and they just get energy from it. They love it. They love the manipulation. And the shaman would be able to pick these kids and pick these psychopaths and make sure that these psychopaths, if they were bad, they would disappear. They'd go for a walk with the shaman into the forest, and they probably wouldn't come back.
Okay.
Well, it's unfortunate, but that's what they used to do to protect the society.
Wow.
If they were going to be okay and controllable, well, they just ensure that this person never got into a position of control, you know. But when the shamanistic traditions were wiped out, these psychopaths manoeuvre themselves into positions of control because that's what they do. And you have to be a psychopath to even want to be controlled, or a sociopath. And all these politicians climbing over each other and belittling each other and doing hate campaigns against each other, and literally clawing over each other. Vote for me, you know. To get to the top of the food chain. Why? Why would you want to be at the top of the food chain where you're in a position to control the country? Yeah. Because you're a psychopath. No, would you want to control the country? I don't want to control the country.
No way.
They say to me all the time, Max, you should run for politics. No way, I don't want the gig. I don't want to control anybody. What on earth would I want to do that for? Yeah. You know? I mean, these people are psychopaths. And when you have a psychopath that gets in control of a country or in control of an organisation, then their morality becomes the morality of the people over which they preside, because they put in place a system which has psychopathic and sociopathic parameters, whereby you're working within a system whereby, like, you've got to go to someone's house and say, I've got to throw you out on the street and repossess your house. I'm sorry, I've got to do it. It's terrible that you're going to freeze to death because it's the middle of winter and you've got nowhere to go, but I have no choice. I have to throw you out because it says here on this piece of paper that you owe money to the bank. All right? That's pathological thinking. That's psychopathic. That's a psychopathic system that is making an economic model more important than someone's life. Right? So that's psychopathic. So the person doesn't question this because he's trained to think pathologically. And he might go home and think, gee, I feel terrible about throwing that guy out of his home and that family, that young woman and the kids. Oh my God, they're going to freeze. I feel really bad, but I just didn't have a choice. And they go home, so they got to take medication because all the depression they're feeling, because of the terrible stuff they've got to do in their job, but they never question it, they do it. But really they should be questioning it. Why is this law in place? Who enacted this law? Let's go up the food chain and find out how this system got in place, and let's eliminate those people who made these decisions and put these rules in place. Let's eliminate these people from the system, because they obviously shouldn't be there, because they've created a system which is making itself the supreme ruler, rather than the people that the system is supposed to be there to support. Now, we're supposed to have a society that we created to support our needs, and yet we're the most expendable thing within the parameters of the system. So it's a psychopathic system. So that's the sort of thing that gets eliminated by having shaman keeping a watch on society. When the shaman disappear, this is what you get. So we've got a whole globe that's basically run by a psychopathic system. And it is. It's completely psychopathic. All you have to do is look at it. The fact that there's people in hardship all over the planet in order to support an economic model. It's flawed. It's obviously flawed, you know, because the economy, it's fiction. It's just numbers on a screen. You just made it up. It's not real. You know, what's real is people and life and this planet. That's what's real. And the natural state of all people, I believe, is a state of abundance. But society and money creates scarcity, and therefore that creates greed, creates crime, creates competition, creates all the problems that we've got. It all stems from that. And so the shaman used to look after all that sort of stuff. You know, keep these psychopaths out of positions of power.
Wow, I didn't know that.
I know that is. I'm gonna do it. On your book, you've written about more about shamanism, haven't you?
Oh, look, I've spoken about it. I mean, I haven't had time to write much these days, but I've spoken about it a lot. But really, if you look at it, it all makes common sense.
Yeah, definitely.
If you've gone and done any shamanistic ceremonies, like if you've gone and done any ayahuasca or anything like that, I mean, these things really open you up. I don't know how anybody who had ever done an ayahuasca ceremony could possibly go and ever hurt anybody again or steal from anybody again or anything like that, because it shows you the most deepest parts of yourself. So these sorts of things are shunned by modern society because they really, really open your mind, and they can really, really connect you to the spirit world again. And that's the thing that they really don't want you to have. They want people locked into this left brain reality. You know, if you don't stay in left brain, then you're a threat to this reality. So that's where they've really, really tried to push everybody. And that's why it's such a threat to them. I think everybody should go and do ayahuasca at least once. I think it should be mandatory in the last year of high school.
Wow, wouldn't that be something?
We were talking about that a couple of weeks ago, weren't we?
In the last term of high school, I think all students should go and do 4 ayahuasca ceremonies.
Nice one.
And then they can go out and go out into society. I think we would have a very, very different world if they did that.
Shall we set it up?
Yeah, no, seriously.
We should,
It
you
would
know.
be good, wouldn't it?
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
Is that illegal here?
I'm not sure, you
No,
know.
it's not legal here. It's legal in South America, in Peru,
No,
places like that, because it's part of tribal tradition. It's a religious tradition.
Yeah, yeah,
I
So
can imagine
they
them
can't-
making
they
it
can't
illegal
ban that.
here.
yeah.
They're trying to activate people here in Australia because Australia is the oldest continent on Earth. It's the oldest landmass on Earth. Australia's been here longer than anywhere else. Australia is remnants of a great land that used to exist in the Southern Ocean.
Okay.
That the Aboriginals call Gondwana land. And some people call Mu or Lemuria.
Lemuria, that's right, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, the original people here call it Gondwana land, and they say it did exist. And it's interesting, actually, the story of ayahuasca. If you talk to South American shaman, because the process of brewing it and everything, it's quite a process. And you think, well, how did they know this? How did they know that this plant would react with this plant in this way, and it would contain an enzyme inhibitor, which would? How did you guys know all this? You know, they said, well, a white bird told us. A white bird with a yellow crest told us. Came over, it flew over, and it told us how to do this. And these are white cockatoos that come from Australia.
Okay.
And
Cockatoos,
so they say that that's where the knowledge of the plants came from. The white cockatoos came and they told the shaman in South America how to make this brew. And that's why a lot of the shaman have now been coming to Australia and trying to activate this ancient knowledge in Australia, because they said the plants in Australia are the oldest plants in the world, and they are the most powerful plants in the world.
Okay.
Some of the brews that the Aboriginal people or the original people in this country make, they never ever share with white people. They won't tell us. They're very, very secretive with their shamanistic traditions in Australia, because they've been so brutalised by the white culture in the last 200 years. It's understandable.
Yeah.
That they're very, very secretive with all of their medicines and all their remedies. But shaman from South America are now coming over and saying, well, this is where the white cockatoo came from. And you people in this country, you need to know what you've got here before all these plants are destroyed, because these plants are some of the most powerful plants on Earth, and we need to reactivate these plants. We need to reactivate this culture in this country. So it's heading for a pretty interesting year, actually.
Okay. So do you think that the original people of the land will divulge the information to the people?
Look, they may, but it may take a little while. The original people in this country are even very divided amongst themselves. And there were something like 30,000 different nations here, or 3,000 different nations or something, or 30 nations. I don't know. There's a lot of nations here. There's a lot of different countries, and even trying to deal with the elders of the original people in this country, it's very difficult, because the elders exist in all regions, and someone can start speaking and they'll say, well, why are you talking? You're not from here. You're from 30 miles down the road.
Okay.
You know, and it's that tight knit that they were nomads, but they stuck to their area. And okay, we were on this side of the river, you were on that side of the river, and we were down here in the plain, and you were on the mountain. You know, it might be all within a 30, 40 mile radius, but you have 4 or 5 different tribes.
Right.
You know. Then they've all got their own elders, and no one's allowed to speak for anybody else. And so it's very, very difficult to get any unity in there with the original people in Australia. So it's a hard one. So, I mean, I know some people. I've actually been adopted into one of the tribes even, and I still don't know a lot of the stuff. I mean, there's a lot of the medicine stuff they won't divulge to me. They won't divulge to anybody. Because, I mean, we've only been here 200 years, just a little bit over 200 years. And there's people here, like even in the flora and fauna books, if you look at a high school book or a primary school flora and fauna book from the 1960s or 1970s, you will find listed among the animals in this country, in the fauna, it'll have wombat, kangaroo, aborigine, right?
Okay.
In the 70s, right? These people are listed as part of the fauna of this country. Not human, they're part of the animal life of the country.
Wow.
Right? So the people Australian Aboriginals still have people in living memory who have been brutalised by white people in this country.
So sorry, Max.
It's very difficult for them to open up. You know.
Sorry, Max. What you're saying to me is, as far as close as the 60s, they were saying
60s
that.
and 70s, there were school books. You can get school books that depict the flora and fauna of Australia, and they've got Aborigine next to wombat and kangaroo.
You're joking me.
That's
In the
disgusting.
70s, mate. This is how backward this culture is in this country.
Wow.
Well, that's
Australia's incredibly racist culture. I mean, there's a lot of really racist people here. You don't see a lot of... I mean, a lot of foreigners that come here, a lot of people who travel here, they come to places like Byron and they go, where's all the coloured people? They're all white. Everybody's freaking white.
Wow.
There's just no... There's hardly any... If you want to see black people, you go to Moree or one of these other towns where they're full of blacks and they're full of alcohol.
Yeah.
You know, it's just they've been brutalised, man. You would not believe that the conditions that the Aboriginal people still live in this country. Yeah, but like as recently as 1970, you can get these school books, man. As recently as 1970, they're still listed as a freaking animal. So we want these people to open up to the white people. I think we've got a lot of groundwork to cover. We've got a lot of apologising to do. We've got some really, really big bridges to build because of what the British did when they came here, man. They just brutalised these people, you know.
Because we don't know about this stuff here.
No. I mean, the closest that I know about it is by watching Rabbit Proof Fence, but even then...
Oh, yeah, the stolen generation. But that wasn't just black people. That was everybody. They did that to everybody. They would just steal children all over the country, you know. And the stolen generation stuff was really bad as well because they take people and they mix all the tribes up.
Yeah.
Take them from Western Australia and give them to families in Queensland and stuff like this.
No way.
You know, and try to you know, turn them into white people.
No.
And these people just don't think the way we do. What are you building all these structures for? All these square walls and all this. They just still don't understand it. They just cannot understand the way white people do what they do. Like everything you do, you just destroy stuff.
Yeah.
We lived here for 40,000 years, walked around this country naked for 40,000 years and got on with everybody and everything. No problem. You guys come here, all these clones, all this stuff, all these shelters you build, and all you've done is destroy the country. You're mad.
So it's understandable why they won't share anything, because they'll just think the white people want to mess it up. They want to corrupt everything like they corrupted us.
Absolutely, and even when people often have Aboriginal friends, it's token. Oh, look, see, I've got an Aboriginal friend. You know, I've got some really good Aboriginal friends. I'm friends with some like the local lawman here and Kerry Ann Cox, singer from Western Australia, and they've adopted me into their tribe. You know, I've got some great Aboriginal friends. I don't even call them Aboriginals. I call them originals. Aboriginals and insult. It's non-original. It's like abnormal. Okay. They're not the Aboriginal people. They're the original people. You know, the origines.
Because we was talking about Aboriginals earlier on, wasn't we?
Yeah, we was discussing that, and our technical man was saying that we shouldn't be calling them Aboriginals because ab means to be without or to be like absent. Yeah. So
they're original people. We call them the origines. The origine race.
But even the terminology used is designed to program people subconsciously. Again, there isn't there?
Yeah, it's programming. It's all programming. But so it's very difficult to get these people to open up to their knowledge to the white people. Now, if we can break down these barriers, so if we can introduce even through the introduction of the South American shamanism into this country, break down these barriers, get a few more people here doing ceremony and opening up to what's actually going on. Once we become a little bit more active that way, perhaps the South American shaman will be able to help bridge the gap with us back to the originating people. We've got so much work to do. I mean, with some of the stuff that's going on, some of the pedophile rings in England and some of the connections they've got to a community in Western Australia, the Broome community. There's a huge pedophile ring involving Aboriginal children running out of there. So there's a lot of stuff going on. And there's Aboriginal people that live out in tin huts still out in Alice Springs, you know, no amenities, and they're just a discarded people. So we've got a real lot of work to do before these people are ever going to open up to us. And it's very, very understandable. So
what you're saying is that they've got people, white people who are going into Australia and having taking the original people out and.
Well, we've got a system in the Northern Territory, which is an apartheid system, really. It's called the intervention. There was a report that there were originally people who were abusing their children. And so we had to create a new law where you've got to show identification to do anything in the Northern Territory. You can't buy alcohol. You've got to show identification. You can't do anything, you know. And we've got to be able to go onto everybody's land.
Okay.
We've got to be able to check to see that they're not molesting their children, you know.
Wow.
And basically just opened up all the originally land and all the private land that was owned by the elders, opened it all up for white people to be able to go in and inspect it, which basically opened it all up to mining, which is what it was all about, really. And so it's almost an apartheid system in the Northern Territory. They've got a different law to anywhere else.
Okay.
And it's called the intervention that is there to save the children from pedophiles. There were 6 reports which were all fabricated. There was not one person ever charged. There'd be more pedophilia activity in any white community in Australia than there is in the whole Aboriginal community in all of Northern Territory. You know, so it was a scam. The whole intervention is a scam. It's an apartheid system it's a 2-tiered legal system. That's what the intervention is. It's the imposition of a 2-tiered legal system in the Northern Territory, whereby the original people have a different set of laws that they have to obey than what the white people do. It's not acceptable in this day and age.
And it's still going on today, now.
Oh, yeah, it's going on now. It was introduced about 10 years ago, 15
This is
years
some
ago.
jolting
to
on
save the
me.
children.
What?
And it's still going. John Howard introduced it, and it's still going, and it's ridiculous. It's a 2-tiered legal system that's been put in place in that section of the country.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the intervention, they call it, to save the children, of course.
Dear God help us.
And this is the first time I'm hearing anything like this. They've definitely hit it
Oh,
well.
look it up. Australia, the intervention.
Okay.
Just Google it.
Okay.
No, they're intervening. We can't let you molest your children. Even though there are only 6 reports and we investigated everybody and didn't find anybody, we have to impose this 2-tiered legal system anyway to protect your children from the molestation that we couldn't prove was happening. Yeah. But we say is happening. So we have to introduce this. You know how it works. Yeah. It's just, you know, they're just liars and scammers, and it's all about mining. It's about opening up the Aboriginal land to mining, and further dispossessing these people. You know.
Yeah. I mean, like they do everywhere across the world, isn't it? They'll create a problem to go in there and rape its resources.
Because what's the messed up thing about it is their ancestors were probably the ones who were actually raping and doing the paedophilic acts on their children. Yeah. Sorry to say, but they were raping the women there. So.
Well, they did some shocking stuff to these people. They really did, and now they're dispossessing them still. Yeah. And now through coal seam gas mining and stuff, they're just marching onto white farms and stuff now as well, and they're taking their land and they're screaming out about their land. You've got all these Aboriginal elders sitting back, crossing their arms, just nodding at them, looking, saying, "Hey, we've been screaming out about having our land stolen for 200 years. You didn't listen to us." And now that your land's been stolen, you're calling out for us to come and help you. Well, look at that. Yeah. We've been telling you to come and join our tribes for the last 200 years, but you wouldn't listen. You know, and we're still saying come and join the tribe because we're still sovereign here. And if you all join us, we can take the country back because we still own it. Yeah. The British government didn't come here and they didn't conquer the country. They didn't invade the country. They just came here. They stuck a stick with a piece of rag hanging off it on the beach and said, "Now it belongs to England." Yeah. They didn't realise there was already 30 countries here. There's already 30 nations living here. Yeah. And all you have to do is join us because it even says in the British legal system that the Australian Aboriginal law still has sovereignty in Australia. Even says that there in their legal system, says it in their constitution, says it in everything to do with this country. It says it still belongs to the Aboriginal people. Okay. But you can't unite the Aboriginal people. They won't unite. Yeah, because they've divided them too much, haven't they? Yeah. But if the white people who want to, if we were to unite with them and sit down and have counsel with all these people, I think we could find a solution. Yeah. Yes. It's hard. It's difficult getting. You've got 30 different nations. Everyone wants to be the boss, and everyone's blinded by money. Yeah. You know, they think money's real now. You know, and then you start asking the Aboriginals about their spirituality. You'll end up going back to Jesus. Okay. And you think, what's Jesus got to do with you guys? You know.
Because I actually like their stories. Because like the dream when they talk about the dream time and stuff.
Superimposed that. That's one of the first things they did. Like they even got when they first came here, they even got Aboriginal children. They dressed them up in their little church clothes, and they made them walk the Aboriginal songlines singing Christian hymns.
Oh,
so
no.
they sang Christian law into the country, you know, because they understand how all this works as well. I mean, it's very, very clever what they did to this country. But yeah, we got a long way to go, brother. But I think we can do it. I mean, I'll keep doing what I do because I think it needs to be done. But when you see the extent of the problems that we're facing, it's almost an insurmountable hurdle.
Yeah.
But, you know, I mean, it's all being laid bare now. And shows like this help, and people talking about it help. It really does, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've got a long way to go. But with the right steps, I think we can do it.
We can, most definitely. And I like your enthusiasm and your positivity.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we'll be supporting you all the way also. And
Definitely.
you know what I mean? If you are going to go away, you're welcome here in England, here in sunny Leicester.
Definitely.
Yeah. I mean, I've been offered places all over the place, so you never know where I'll end up. But I think I probably will be travelling for quite a bit of the time this year.
Okay.
Maybe.
I might join you even.
Yeah. Maybe we might link
Well,
up.
you never know. There'll be a lot of people want to get involved in the Full Circle project. I've had a lot of people offer me, and write to me and say they want to be involved. They offer me their services in any way I can find to use them. So you never know. I mean, all sorts of people could be involved. It could morph into anything, you know.
Okay.
I just want to create some sort of a global groundswell.
Yeah.
And hopefully this will be the mechanism that will do it.
Yeah, most definitely. Let's do it then. Let's do it. We would definitely want to get involved in that. That's for sure.
But thank you. This has actually been quite an educational show tonight. Definitely.
Thank you very much, Max. Thank you for joining us so early in the morning there in Australia.
Yeah, hopefully you can join us again.
Most definitely.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll happen again. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you. And I hope the weather eases up over there for you guys.
Stay safe.
Oh, lovely. It's set to go for another week. It's at least, they say, another 5 or 6 days.
No. Oh, dear.
Stay safe.
Stay safe anyway, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I'm fine. I always stay safe. It's a habit I've gotten into.
Yeah.
Nice one. Okay, bro. You take it easy, yeah? How do you say that again? Is it Lakesh?
In Lakesh.
In Lakesh. Brilliant.
In Lakesh.
What does it mean?
Means I am another yourself.
Brilliant.
But it also means I am you. We are each other. It's a greeting, and it's really a code. It's more of a way of life.
Yeah.
It's a way to interact with reality.
What's it again?
In Lakesh.
In Lakesh, Max Igan.
Okay.
Yeah.
In Lakesh, Max.
Okay.
Thank
you, my brother.
Okay. Ciao.
Bye.
Bye.
In Lakesh.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
I like that.
Yeah, it's
In
nice.
Lakesh.
Isn't it? Very nice. It's like Namaste, isn't it? Similar sort of meaning.
Yeah.
Yes, it's 9:30 on the nose. We're gonna call it a night.
Yeah.
Play one more tune and call it a night.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do it.
Set of your dreams. Lay into it with me and smoke. See through the mist, glitter and the gleam. Might see the meaning of glow. Fancy cars, diamond rings, nice restaurants, finer things. Lost our souls, hopes and dreams in a city of angels.
Hey, now let me tell you guys a story about a place I know where everybody and their mama see low and wanna go. The hoes be on the TV in bikinis and bras, and half the niggas here be rocking more glitter than bras. Figured it's the city of dreams, but it ain't real. It's actors and rappers, all after the same deal. Filming what goes down just down the street, where they down 40 ounces and smoke pounds of weed. You know, niggas just like the niggas from y'all parts, except we got spots. We don't shop at Walmart. Ballers either play ball or slang by the ballpark, and every hood is run by a black version of Karl Marx. And all dark corners in Cali got a crack kid that got sick of living off the counter. And out of every out of towner trying to make a living here, I can find a nigga sick of living here. Look at this, Los Angeles folks.
Nice restaurants and those finer things. We lost our souls, our hopes and dreams with the city of angels that sold their wings from fancy cars, diamond rings, nice restaurants and those finer things. We lost our souls, our hopes and dreams with the city of angels that sold their wings.
You can catch me dipping through the ghetto like a devil on skates in my Delta 88, old yellow on the plates. With the pedal to the metal, blowing hay through the bass from the levels of my treble. Tell 'em, hell's hot as the spots, the pedal weight. Where the felons smell the jakes on the block a mile away. Come out to play, and know not what to say, cause they slang heavy metal with they metal by their waist. LA, it's not a place to praise, yet it's still not a place in the States. I'd rather stay. Was born, raised, moved out and came back, same shame. Still, I can't blame the gangs for the crack. We just paint lax, play pockets, stay black. Bust raps, bust caps, get bust that and bust back. Simple as that. Pimp pushes the max, took us in hood rats, broke ass Latins and blacks. But that's Los Angeles,
diamond rings, nice restaurants, and those finer things. We lost our souls, our hopes and dreams with the city of angels that sold their wings.
Let's go.
Fancy cars, diamond rings, nice restaurants, and those finer things. We lost our souls, our hopes and dreams with the city of angels that sold their wings.
It's been a minute since Pac made a song about the Golden State, and since them days, we done dropped low in ranks. Cause ain't shit poppin' with rap, we rather fill up banks, tryna act like fill up banks. And it's cool, them fools from out of town get the rap loot, and if they need that West Coast flavor, they just ask Snoop. What happened to the niggas with attitudes? Throwing up dubs and stomping out whack rapping crews. Y'all got fag fools invading the gang space that made Terminator the governor of this lame state. The same place they be the king with bars is the same place they decorate the streets with stars. And you start to wonder why it ain't none in the sky, cause the cops got it hotter than the month of July. And even though I hate on CA, I can't lie, I probably never leave sunshine and palm trees in the women in the
diamond rings, nice restaurants, and those finer things. We lost our souls, our hopes and dreams with the city of angels that sold their wings. From fancy cars, diamond rings, nice restaurants, and those finer things. We lost our souls, our hopes and dreams in the city of angels.
Check. I'm Western playalistic, my Western way of living. I pen subscription for the PC players, gangsters swimming in that pool of sharks. Even for the gangster women representing school of hard knocks where they put it strong. It's like a badge of honor. Learn my habitats is Savasana. Block some open lava, pit they packed in line. No respect, slap your mom. A lot of gangsters moving and a lot of gangsters rolling O's, tracing keys. Best of armor, best to best, west to west, rest in depth. And I'm fresh depth with depth in my gangster music. Ain't no gangster neither, never claim to be a G. A G-O-G, I be a G-O-D, okay.
Yes, that was Blue featuring Cross, City of Los Angeles of Lost Angels. Yes. Thank you very much for Max Egan coming on the show this evening and this morning.
Well, in
terms of Australia. Yes. You can catch his website, thecrowhouse.com. That's www.thecrowhouse, THECROWHOUSE.com. His YouTube channel, AOD Scarecrow. That's AOD SCARE Crow CROW. And big up to Rosalind Blue and to Max, of course, for coming on the show so early in the morning. Don't forget his books, Earth's Forbidden Secrets, Part 1, Searching for the Past. His documentaries, what are his documentaries? Do you remember his documentaries? Transformation is one of them. The Calling is another one. Okay. So please check them out, guys. Really full of important information.
Yeah. I think we should do an ayahuasca trip.
Yeah, let's do one.
We was talking about that the other day. It's
the other
weird,
day,
isn't it? Yeah, we were talking about that.
Yeah.
Doing that, going to South America, getting that done. But yeah, people, we've got a Twitter, so follow us on Twitter at Innervibe Show, INNERVIBE Show, and we've got another one for our campaign. We still need to update that one.
Yeah.
But it's, if you want to follow it, it's at SCEMM1, SCEMM1. And if you want to catch this this radio show and previous shows before, we actually have our own YouTube channel now, which is youtube.com/user/Innervibe Show, INNERVIBE SHOW. We are in the process of putting the past shows on that channel. So if you want to check out other shows that we've done in the past, you can go on youtube.com/user/Skidan for real, SKIDAN 4 real REAL.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Yep. And on that note,
ciao.
Ciao.
Or in Lakesh.
In Lakesh.
In
Namaste.
Lakesh.
Yes. On Wednesday, we have Japjit Kaur, a live Kundalini yoga session.
Yeah.
So please join us.
Yes. Wholeness.